Hey folks, Nick Tockert here with the Historical Fencing Guild. Please pardon, I was wrapping up or getting at least some semblance of my dinner in. Before we get into the program today, we've got a little bit to talk about. So first I want to put a huge shout out to our good friends over at IndieCD.org, your one-stop shop for the best and the brightest authors, musicians, creatives. Basically, if you have a plan to make something where you're going to collaborate with folks, this is a great place to find the people who can help you with your novel or your comic book or, your advertising. As independent creators, having that kind of community accessible is a life changer. Oh, and I've forgotten to switch my glasses. We also are made possible by the sales of the Simple Sword, the Fighting Axe, and the Simple Spear, all part of my ongoing series of Western martial arts manuals designed to help you go from so you've never handled the weapon to proficient enough to teach it to others. We're also made possible by my other books, but most importantly, we are made possible by the Patreon folks at the Historical Fencing Guild. So patreon.com/the Historical Fencing Guild. It's been quiet over there due to some real life issues that I've had off screen, but with what I have back here, we can expect to have that liven up quite a bit with the weather approaching sanity here in the lovely land of Indiana, where the corn is high and the corn sharks are plentiful. But off in the woods, Frog G, Ronald Ray, Lee Kai G, Brian K. Morris, Cindy Kep, and Steve Augusto are my beloved patrons, and those wonderful people are what let me save up to be able to buy trainers and things like I'm about to show you. These are not usually bought for my own use or edification, although today is a very special day in that point. They're usually built for me purposely to review for you. That being said, let's get right into it. Recently, I ordered 2 trainers for the Historical Fencing Guild to review. The first I was able to get a hold of, and I'm going to talk about that before I get into the Han Jian, this is a youth longsword trainer. It has a 26-inch blade, 36-inch overall. Now, let me see. We've discussed proper blade length. This is very close to a proper blade length for yours truly. And because of some of my limitations, being slightly shorter makes it easier from the draw and very comfortable. The expanded grip is very nice. I got the base model. PHA now has a brand new labeled, I want you guys to see this, the rubber stopper piece. It's very sexy. Now, it's kind of funny because we almost, to start understanding why this feels so good, we have to look at another PHA sword, which I should have put it in the links. You can find this sword in the links. Getting them is hard. He only makes a few of them, and then they tend to get scooped up. This, okay, though they are the same length, pardon the darkness on the dark background. This sword feels almost twice as heavy as the sword in the hand because of the leverage and the counterweight. So this feels the 1.33 or I.33 is very choppy. It's a great sword. It's a very concussive sword. But by simply moving the hilt down the blade, much as one would find in a nagamaki, okay, it has about inch and a half length on it. And that ironically is the basically the arming sword. This makes this incredibly comfortable to wield. It feels remarkably lightweight. This also, if I were to dig out my Lord sword, which is tucked away over there, is probably, now I'm curious, very close to it. But this gives me enough that I can use full two-handed techniques just like our dear friend Richie would probably love. I am going to be doing a full review on these, and citing what you're seeing now as a sort of encapsulated piece, so that I can link it straight to the good friends over at Purple Heart Armory. This is a real contender, folks. If I were going to teach adults non-rapier sword, like you had to pick a sword that wasn't a rapier to teach from, this would be it. Now, yes, this was meant to be a great sword calibrated to youth 6 and 8. 6 to 8. I understand that. However, and while that would be a great sword in their hands, to one like me, at I'm 5'7", 5'8", depends on what I'm wearing and which joints are in. This is remarkably light. This is remarkably balanced. Foxy. I think, honestly, Foxy might really like this as a sword because it's going to be relatively low cost, and it is just elegant. It came in with tax, and the shipping was a bit of a pain, and rather expensive, at about $60, which is just a little shy of my preferred $50 line for introductory or basic trainers. Now, to those who might scoff, and what I can do here while we're here is share screen. Boom. It will say out of stock. It usually is. I will be doing a review on this and probably encouraging more people to be interested. I regret not getting the other wrap, but the PHA grip does work pretty well, and it's fairly reliable. Plus, if I want to put that kind of wrap on, I can. Sorry, it's bouncing around a bit. I don't know how seriously these were intended to be, but I will tell you, all in all, this has become one of my favorite swords. Instantly, I picked it up. Haha, I'm not losing my leftover dinner yet. I am moving it, but I'm not losing it. Okay, it can go down. But this is one of those weapons where, when you are a basic trainer, and especially if you're starting from nothing, you need a weapon that won't fight you. Okay? It needs to be balanced in such a way that you can do everything you need to do, but very fluidly. The point of balance is only like 4 or 5 inches out. So the point of balance is, okay, yeah, about 5, 6 inches out, which for a concussive weapon is, this makes it feel lightweight. And because you're holding it, again, if Richie gets here, there's lots of opportunities for wheeling, especially if you're a smaller person. And ironically, if you were to go look up the the Penty, what's the dang name? Messer. The Penty Messer volume version 3. This is a pound, a singular pound. The Penty Messer version 3 is a nylon full-on weapon. It's about $115, and I've eyeballed it for its measurement as a, do I want that for myself? Guys, these are within like half an inch of difference in proportions. I can do my drills with this, and I'm not threatening the ceiling. This is a very good thing for me to have. So they're hard to get to by now. But if you wanted to get into the sword and you're not sure what style, but you're a little weaker, this was, if you can handle a concussive, it's scary how much difference these weapons feel when I hold them side by side. The visual difference is only a matter of about 4 inches, but this is like butter. It's better balanced than many katana I've wielded. It's better balanced than many jin I've wielded. And it will be talking about especially this proportion as as something to keep track of. Because I have said that there are certain blade lengths that feel natural, certain sword lengths overall that feel natural. But this is going to be one of those weapons, guys, that you want to, once you get hold of it. The really strong guys may find this exceptionally light to the point of discomfort. Remembering that I have significant loss in grip strength and I'm building back my arm strength and core strength, this is almost a game changer, just for the balance and fluidity. So really, I'm going to do a better review of this. We'll do some strikes and such. But all in all, this is just one of those swords that it's flying right under the radar over at PHA, and that is a crime. So that is my initial review. I'm going to do a full review on that later. And we'll get into the other sword. But before I do, I'm going to catch the comments real quick, because I know especially Thesis is going to be very interested in that weapon. Speaking of, first through the door at 746 is Thesis, Bladed Thesis. And follow him at Bladed Thesis on YouTube. Thank you both for being a friend and a supporter of the channel. Looking forward to this. You don't see many Han Jian. No, you don't. I've literally never seen a Han Jian trainer in the whole time I've been doing this. And then one with a scabbard. It's insane. And when I show you, this Han Jian is in the mentality of my katana. This isn't just a trainer. It is a trainer that can be displayed with pride. It is a truly lovely weapon. I'm here too. Hi, Foxy. And not first. That's okay. Happy Friday. Glad to see you, Cindy. How you are? And good day, Kitty. Two new toys. Yes, indeed. I'm going to glaze over and answer any questions, but having dinner, Cindy. How are you? And pretty good. I'm making dinner and feeling so much better now. I am so glad. Oh, good. And you really need to get some simplified swords access for fighting and less complicated spears. And that's my Amazon store. You can find the link to that. You can also find the link to my affiliate link to Purple Heart Armory in the description, and a direct affiliate link to my to that exact item. So if you were looking to get into that, that's where to go. If it's not in stock, you can select email me when not in stock, when it's back in stock, and you can always reach out to them because they are notoriously good for taking custom orders. And tune into the Historical Fencing Guild tonight at 7 p.m. Central, 8 p.m. Eastern. And that's right here for this very show. And Thesis says, if it will let me, there we go. I jabbed the ceiling the other night when sanding the broomstick for my spear. It's a problem for martial artists with low ceilings. Yes. That's why trainers are desperately needed. Now, we are fighting really bad service right now. I'm not quite sure why. The wind's not that bad, but it is doing the fluctuation, so I apologize. And let's see. For real, Sifu Aaron wants me to toss the fan higher in the form I'm competing with, but there's no chance of that in the basement. At school, there is one room I can toss it high. I can see that being very, very challenging for indoor. And outdoor with windage, it would be very, very challenging for the motions. But I find that fascinating. Give me a second. These weather changes have wreaked havoc on my throat, so I'm breaking out the big guns. Those of you who know, you know. I'm scrolling down, and Thesis, you would love my ceilings. They're 10 to 12 foot, depending where you are. Wow. And catching it is another matter altogether. Absolutely. And Cindy put the link for my art. And hey, Alec, you're making Thesis drool even before showing the sword. Guys, this is something different. And hey, Alec. Hi, Alec. Everybody's greeting Alec. And I'm glad to see and hear from you, Alec. Checking on the Historical Fencing Guild on other Fridays at the Historical Fencing Guild. So, guys, please like, share, and subscribe to this channel so I can help bring you this kind of content and answer your pressing sword-related questions. Hi, Thesis. Hi, Foxy. And if you want to help, please consider becoming a patron on Patreon at the Patreon. Patreon.com/The Historical Fencing Guild. Often imitated, never duplicated. And as far as I know, only LK Chen is the only one who uses Han Jian trainers, but he uses the older guard style. And I need to get the film showing the difference in the Jin guards. Yes, you do. I'm taking it that you guys are more interested in seeing that Jin than perhaps you are ready for. So first I want to show you guys the ad. It is on sale right now, 30% off at $42, hence why I ordered it. This is a very nice looking weapon. This is a very nice looking trainer, and it's respectful. The other thing is the company has made what they're calling a Guardian Sword, which is a Dao, and then another, what are they calling it? Because they have funky names. We'll click there for just a second. Yes. This is just, they're calling a samurai knife. It's kind of brutal, but this wonderful little dude is what we're going to be meeting right about now. And I have the link for this. It is not an affiliate link because I don't have an affiliate link through Amazon. But, and I like them both. Oh, dang it. Gave myself hiccups. It happens. Now, this it's very nice because they gave it in a carry case that you can throw over your shoulder quite nicely. It is modeled after the Boken katana and other carry cases, so it's very simple. I have a quick release knot because, of course, I have a quick release knot. This is nice though for transmitting, and this sword warrants it. Let me get the light on this guy because I want to show you some things. Let me show you its features. We'll put that down there. They went to some insane details. This is not molded. This is actual grip that rope that they have put on. So it's a real, very positive for a rounded shaft. Which I'm not a fan of rounded hilts, but I want you guys to see the detailing and fully appreciate the beauty of this. Do I have it upside up? I think so. Yes. No? No. There. Well, I want to make sure the dragon is upside up for you guys. Getting the lighting to show it is a trick. There we go. Come on. It's almost there. Come on. It's not even showing properly the beauty of this. Detailed end cap. Proper real wooden beads on the side of this portion. And positive locking in place. Now, as this is used, this will loosen naturally. But it flows. It comes into your hand. Sorry. If Trelena were here, she'd know exactly what's going on over here, but I will put that down. Now, first basic thought, I do have to point out the tip is a little sharper than I like, but it's also relatively flexible, seems to spring back. The balance, it's strange because it's almost featherweight. It's one of the lightest feeling and likely lightest swords I own. I can't really go through the proper motions that this wants, but again, this is one of those weapons that feels so good in hand. There's detailing on the blade. It has a raised middle spine. So what that's going to do is when you are cutting with this and you're doing your drills, which yes, cut, you're still going to cut motion, even with a Jian, you can hear your blade alignment. It will sound different if it is properly lined up than if it is off. And I love that in a sword. The grip is just, and you'll notice I'm being a little different because the parry point on Jian very often is near the point of balance, which, where is that? Oh, look, it is out. So a little closer. So I'd put it at 4 inches from the end of the guard. Yeah, 3.5. Very light, very agile. And this can be wielded two-handed. We see some great questions. So let's see. Give me a second. Okay. I like them both. Dang it, give me hiccups. Foxy inhaled a Baconator. I could hear his swordgasm from the other room. I'm glad. I'm new to this, so I'm assuming the trainer is a one-hand. That's part of what I want to talk about because this is not my first time around Han-style Jian. I've handled several of sword sages and had long discussions. And depending on your style, because 1 second, respect the weapon. Anyway, depending on your style of fighting, if you notice, you'll see a lot of where they're bringing the finger in and they're doing sword drills with the Jian, where they're not actually supporting the weight, but the finger is here. That lets you know you can. It's to help keep that middle road closed. It becomes optional, very fluid. And thesis goes in to say, the only issue I can see with far is they messed up the handing system. And you can wield one-handed, one or two-handed, depending on your style. Absolutely. It's supposed to be one, but there's room for special moves. Guys, see, basically, and once again, we're going to run into the east and west. Oh, Mantis swords use two hands, and so are some Bagua swords. Yes. Amanda taught me don't modify your grip. My knuckles aren't alike even with each other. I understand what you're saying. But I find that fascinating. But I want to point something else out. Messer. Don't let the blade shape fool you. Okay, it doesn't have the little clip. This is a messer. I pick it up and I go, I know what you are. I have to set this guy down. Again, respect your weapons. What is catching it? There we go. The revenge of the bootleg Tiger Balm. which I remember what I forgot to buy when we went shopping. That is a little tight. Like I said, it will have to be broken in a bit. And I do have some slight concern about the strength of these parts of the guard, but I have seen this exact guard on the actual weapons, at least this design. But when you look, something very interesting begins to happen. Look at these two weapons. I want to try and get this lined up. If I basically align it, vastly different portions of the world with minimal contact, and yet what evolved is the same basic blade length, the same basic grip dimensions. Isn't this fascinating? When I tell you that people make this big difference between East and West, and I say, look, a Chinese Ming Dynasty swordsman's elbow had the same range of movement as, an 18th century French fencer. We do. So this is where you start to find commonality. And when you find commonality between styles, commonality between weapon design, commonality between approach, you realize the ergonomics become similar. So, to Thesis and to Foxy, I would recommend, unless I see a break in this, almost immediately this weapon, because it is light enough that Foxy will not have to fight it. So I really think that Foxy would do better with one of these two weapons as she ventures into the broader techniques. It is elegant. I mean, this came and I couldn't do anything with it because of the schedule and the way things worked out. So it's been taunting me. It is incredibly distinctive. It is remarkably elegant, and it is of a reasonable price point, which means this, my friends, is a weapon that would really shine in nearly anyone's possession. And you're right, the handedness is a little off with the dragon really should have been on the other side. But I'd be lying if I said this is anything but supremely elegant. And I will probably in the fairly near future be using this to go through some modified Tai Chi style motions, and I think this will serve very well. Now, is this a sword for everybody? No. I will make that crystal clear. This, just by the feel, does have some things where you want to use it very precisely and very carefully. As I said, it has the sharpened tip, the relatively sharp tip. Now, I would, judging by the polypropylene, you probably could round it off. You could put a tip guard to keep it safe, but then you couldn't sheath it. The rope grip is just surprisingly anchored. I really do enjoy it. So I want to make sure. It is flat against the scabbard. That it's too tight to catch any real fabric. And I hate to admit that because that is a slight flaw in the design. But gosh, is it beautiful. So I'm going to get back into your comments and try not to geek out over this weapon. But I do want to tell you this. If you can make this go, you could probably make this go and vice versa. Just because your style isn't the customary style for a weapon by others' definition does not mean it can't be effective. That's why you learn your fight. You learn what flows for you, what makes the way you approach martial combat work, and you do it. Now, if you're a style purist, that is fine. You train in that style, you embrace it, you wallow in it, you love the consistency, the purity, the ties to the tradition of how it's meant to be. I can get that way at points, but that's not something I project. That's something I do for myself. But the fact that this isn't a heavily marketed weapon just sickens me. I will also say, on a completely geeky side, this probably a couple inches longer, but this is exactly what I think of when I think of the sword used by like an anime protagonist on their adventure. You know, this is almost, when I think of a rapier, I think of a cup hilt rapier. But when I think of a sword, this to me is almost exactly the epitome of what a sword that's doing just about everything can be. So this really, really it's rather emotional. I have been chasing getting this trainer for a number of years, actually a large number of years, because he hasn't been releasing a lot of these. And that's a mistake. People are sleeping on this. He should be cranking these out, and he should make a sheath for this of some sort. Because this is just, you can teach one-handed with it. See, I look for versatility. I can teach one-handed with this all day. I'm also I have a history of pommel parries. If I had, guys, if I had the right kind of plastic cup that would fit over this, I could turn this into one heck of an S-stock or S-stock rapier hybrid. This is nice. And no, I'm not thinking about doing something like that eventually. No. I would never get HDPE and check the measurements and make a rig. I don't know what you're talking about. How dare you accuse me of such a thing? But this fits. Not for everybody, but especially for the shorter among us and frankly the physically weaker. Being able to have both hands and get control when you learn the art. And the real secret to running a sword two-handed, there are a lot of motions, but the real secret is figuring out where your pivot point is and counter steering. So I'm not just holding static here and hinging and striking. You'll notice something instantly happens as soon as I demo. I'm not going boom. I don't know if you can see the difference, because I can go through or I can go through. But what I do when I'm fighting this, the pivot point is not down here. The pivot point for me is right here. So it's going to rotate, and this just flows. Richie's going to laugh his butt off when he sees this and when he gets his hands on it. S-talk is best talk. Preach on, brotherhood. But yeah, so I've been chasing this down for quite some time, and I will catch up again with the comments in just a second. But the raw elegance of the sheath, it's just featherweight. I really want to go out and play with this, but I'm not currently able to due to the weather and some of the shenanigans going on. But this is truly for the gin nut, for the theses among us, bladed or otherwise. This is the best trainer I have found for interacting with the gin. But so I put this in a place where my katana, which is behind me, it's technically a boken because it's a katana frame, is exquisite for what it is. And it's funny because I pick up that katana and I go back to 30 years ago, trying to learn from a book I got at the library. Basic katana work and other basic weapon styles. In a half-translated, beat-up manual. I wish I owned it. Using the world's ugliest hand-carved boken that I used Irish Spring to seal the wood. I have it somewhere. I'll show you. It's just exquisite. And let me see where we are. Okay, Matt, don't modify your grip yet. Look up just for fun. Look up a Bagua Dao, and you'll see how long they can be. I've seen them, but let me put this up. I can't do a search like this without risking issue. Yes, that makes sense to me. They are very large, very fluid. They are basically Kriegmessers. They're Kriegmessers with round guards. I know how to make that go. I'm sorry. I am very Irish and very German, and they manifest at weird times. I get around a certain class of sword beyond the lighter rapiers and small swords. And I encounter, the German sawback hunting swords and the Messers and the Kriegmessers, and it just suddenly feels right. So I can see how that goes. And let's see. We were talking about drills, and I've been reading The Simple Sword and what I've been doing with sticks. It isn't a bad idea to start figuring some things out with the book's help. No, not at all. But shush, we didn't talk about it, of course. Even though I have permission to anyway. The dragon on the scale. Yes, we covered that. Geeking out is fine. I appreciate that because these do represent a substantial investment from my level of funds. And Thesis has been teaching me with the Green Destiny trainer, and I can tell it bothers him using a king style instead of the Han he prefers. I fully understand. That's why I'm telling Thesis needs to get a hold of one of these. It will be very, very, very light in his hand, and it may feel uncomfortable with the lightness. But if he can speak to it, it will sing. S-Talk is best talk, absolutely. And we're talking about the sunset, which I'm glad. I can't see it right now. Keith and she's. Thank you. Nick mentioned going out, and I was like, I should go in the backyard. Well, yeah, multitask. Well, mostly, yeah. He's doing it closer to a Japanese style, but it's close enough to make me happy. Well, see, and it's very simple. I learned. Oh, my net's trying to cut out again. Sorry about that. Oh, hello, some person. I learned drawing and sheathing a katana about 3 lifetimes ago before I got into a lot of other things. Like I said, I had a book And I suspect it was from an Aikido perspective looking back, but this was something that was yellowed with age and falling apart when I got a hold of it in the late 90s. So it is what it is. But yes, you will see me very often. One moment. I need to put that box. Fell down. Now, this is where that sheathing motion comes from. I have spent so many hours just having to do this cut, reset, and go. This is natural. This is where the curve of the katana makes life happy. This is where this katana trainer that I have is rapidly one of my favorites. And this is what becomes a personal swordsmaster's trainer. This isn't one I'm going to let other people really work with because this one is mine. And I deserve some toys of my own. So, yes, I have people get confused because they think I dislike katanas. I do not dislike katanas. I respect them, but I respect them for what they are, not the mythos that erupts around them. And I will tell you, if you look at the measurements of the guard on that katana and blade, you'll find it remarkably close to the measurements of the messer and the jin. That angle of almost a bastard sword almost perspective is very, very comfortable. Have you thought about using VR for sword fighting? Yes, I have. I am intrigued by that. To do it, I would need the equipment, which I don't have. And I would need to be able to have the smooth floor with the rings so you don't hurt somebody or yourself. I have to do it very safely. But I have no problem with using that as a drilling tool. It will never replace stress testing because until they make a physically reactive VR for something like that, it would be interesting. It won't replace it. But yes, I would actually love to get into something like that. The closest I did was there was a game at Dave and Buster's that I played entirely too much of when I was visiting because it was basically a point-controlled sword fighting simulator. And I could beat anything the game threw at me once I figured out how the leg motions were done. They're not bad. And see, yes, haptic. That's why I want. See, that is something I would love. I would love haptic response vests, both for martial games like this and for first-person shooters. Because amongst other things, I think it would be really great to have. Okay, I'm going to have to rewind. In the early days of the PlayStation, a very different fighting game came out. And it was loathed by a lot of people and beloved by a select few. It was called Bushido Blade. And the thing about Bushido Blade is you had no health bar. You had no input other than what you saw on the screen and how your character was moving as he took damage. And very often, single hits that went through were game ending. Having something that conveys the punishment of loss in this sort of thing is a vital and very useful resource. That's why I would love to see a lot of the people who play the different shooters and the different sword games have something where there is, and this will shock you, I'm okay if it hurts a bit. Because I believe that pain is a teacher. Oh, and thank you for that, Al. Please be sure to like this and share it around. If you think this is interesting, share it on your Facebook, share it wherever. Share it on your Twix or your X or your Blue Sky. But to get on a level of rationality in a lot of these games, I think there needs to be consequence. And a haptic vest, haptic response vest, that is, or full bodysuit, would give you that response. And it would start telling you where your guard is gapping. Wonderful tool. We don't have that yet, but it is something fascinating. And it does make the AI discussion real intriguing when you start thinking about how that's going to work. With the limitations versus the creativity. Oh, I know they exist. They're incredible. I just can't get my paws on them. People laugh. I use fruit. No, nothing. Look, if you're doing point control drills, you are swinging at a hitting target. You do what you can with what you got. Oh. They've actually come down quite a bit from the last time I've looked. That is impressive. Thank you, Al. But they're getting closer with the demic gloves of healing, still in prototype phase, but others will be. Yes. And I think that as a training tool, because my problem when I play most video games, especially weapon-based video games, versus people, is the fearlessness. I get kind of scolded frequently, well, you're too cautious. I go into every game I play, unless I am truly goofing around, and that's usually like a Halo-style game that and even then I tend to be careful. With the mentality, I don't want to die, I'm going to be sane about this. Ironically, I used to play a game called Warface a lot. Free to pay, pay to win kind of deal. Well, yeah, you get better tools. But when I set out my loadout, I actually picked as close to the types of firearms I felt I could get easily as a civilian in the mentality that I have, for the sole purpose, even though it makes the game harder, to force myself to be more rational and more tactical about it. So, yeah, it's quite a thing. And let me see. Alex says, Nick, earlier today I was listening to your video of You Need a Weapon, I Don't. And I've been listening to that before the stream. I just wanted to say you're still coming a long way. You're my main mentor. And I think you've grown as well. Sorry if this is off topic, but I wanted to mention this. I greatly appreciate that, Alec. Unfortunately, you and I met not long after I was at some of the deepest physical lows I ever in my life have had to endure. So you've only had the pleasure of getting glimpses of the remains of me that I'm trying to cobble back together. And I'm glad that I can be of service. The fact that I can be of service to someone like you is very, very important to me. But thank you. So you're not interrupting. I'm incredibly flattered. And Thesis says, if I wasn't saving up for the Ren Fair next weekend, I would be buying a Han Jian trainer right now. I understand, because right now they're also shoot. Let me see. I don't know how long they're going to be 30% off. So, that's one you might want to keep in mind. I don't know how long it will even last, but finding the trainer that resonates with you is part of what I do. A long time ago, I was told I was the Ollivander of swords, and that is one of those things I keep in my pocket to kind of remind myself I'm worthy, because that's part of what I do. I help people find how they fight and what's comfortable and works for them, and what they fight with, what's comfortable and works with them, based on physical factors, mental factors, emotional factors, and economic factors. Because the simple reality is, what I drill with, and what I spar with, and what I wear to do these things, as someone on with my current finances and financial availability, is radically different than what I did when I was first starting out, and it is near infinitely different what I would do had I superior finances. If the Simple Sword or Haints and Hellfire or one of my other books went bestseller, and suddenly I was making, multi-digit numbers, I would fight in probably slightly different gear. Not everyone practices in his Armani suit. That's true, but not everyone can pull that off either. And I am genuinely impressed with what you can do in that Armani suit, sir. And heat pad time. Oops, back is stiffening again. It's not showing it, but okay, there we go. I'm sorry, your back is stiffening. I will admit to you guys, my faithful guild and friends, and family in some cases, I did talk to my nerve doctor, and amongst the things that were discussed today, since I have a new one, he's much better than my previous, is the reality of the pain I'm in from certain things I will likely be in for my entire life, and it will probably be progressive, both from natural age and the simple matter of how my sort of conditions metabolize. That means I have to make sure to codify and present as much of the physicality to you, dear friends, as I can, without any guise nor ego. I don't have time for that. Now, in doing so, it may, and it seems to be, prolonging my functionality, but at the same time, I have to be. I function in a very Batman-like mentality. Contingencies for my contingencies. And you have to accept a reality. You have to understand what your limitations are before you can transcend them. And since as we all age, we will all hopefully have the opportunity to encounter these sorts of things. But I hope that as I have to deal with the situations, and as I have thus far, I hope to do so with grace, and in a way that when you have such problems, you can face them forward and honestly. I have an odd opinion about some of the pain I carry, and that's because it is a companion. I don't see it as an enemy. I mean, it is something I have to work through, but um, it's something that is there. And I know many of you are going through chronic conditions of your own. And that's why I tell people I show my scars and my wounds openly so you aren't ashamed of yours. That will, in the long run, I think, help all of you and the people you work with and the people you share what you know with. Because I do this in hopes that the ripples will continue to propagate long after I've thrown the stone in the water. So let's get back to the comments because you guys have been chatting. And let me see. Did that. And that. And the heat pad. And Alex says, you're strong, Nick, regardless of physical limitations and mental. And you've shown me that I can pick back up. Take it one step at a time. It's all it takes. I know you don't hear this often, but I'm proud of how far you've come, and this from the first time I've met you. I'm glad to know you. It's an absolute privilege, Alec. You are a wonderful, wonderful soul, and I hope I've been of some use. That's kind of my purpose around here. Thanks. I know you understand a good portion of that, and what it's like to have been and be no more. It's part of growing, it's part of aging, and we're all just one slip away from our lives being changed forever. It's better we don't think about it, but it's the truth. So thank you from the bottom of my heart, seriously. And have you thought about medicinal mushrooms? There are some that help with neurogenesis, growing neurons in the brain and nerve endings in the body. Sometimes they're called adaptogens, and there's more research being done with them now. You will notice I am very straight edge, and I am very, very cautious with even the medications I take. Because as a child, I developed severe epilepsy. Grand mal, petit mal. I was a neurological mess. And they kind of treated it by throwing vast sums of a few medicines at me to see what would stick, whilst taking blood draws constantly to make sure my liver wasn't dying from it. It was the 80s. They did the best they can. And they don't know what started them. They don't know what stopped them. But I am exceptionally cautious about the medications that I take that could have mental factors, good mental adjustments. So I'm looking through it, but I have to always stay on this side of hallucinogens as well because of some of my experiences. The only reason I'm held credible for many of them is because I am known to have never drunk or smoked or done anything. So it gives me a fairly unique position. It's much like, do I love tattoos as an art form? Yes. Do I think they are beautiful? Yes. Have I thought about getting tattoos at points in my life? Yes. Will I ever get a tattoo? No. And the reason it's no, at least not voluntarily, is that I have severe skin allergies to a remarkable spread of things. And if you've ever seen what happens to someone who has a tattoo and finds out they're allergic to it, it is a very painful process. So, on the same thing with that, I have respect for it. I have no judgment against the use of medical mushrooms, but my brain's been rewired a couple times, so I don't want to risk losing any more connectivity. But it is something I will honestly continue to look into, and I respect you, and I appreciate you making that suggestion because it means you care. And Foxy says, I agree with you too. He's come through a lot and is still going. I try. I'm working on that. For the past 4 years, it's been heavily working on the physicality side of things. And now that, at least by my standards, my physicality is a little more stable, I'm having to deal with adjustments of I can't carry things in my front pockets anymore or my back pockets. So I will have to get some kind of rig or vest or something to carry my day-to-day things with. But I'm using a small lunchbox right now. I'm at a point where I can take more steps into dealing with the mental side of things. As for the spiritual side, I attempt to maintain that best I can, and we keep trucking. But thank you guys. I do appreciate it because, like anyone, my progress is not something I can easily see. And because my orientation is not inward, I often don't notice. But Thesis says, I've been training Chinese Jian for 25 years. Everything at my disposal has been Qing and Ming designs. Only recently have I discovered the Han Jian, and it just calls to me. That is one of the great quests of swordsmanship, more than any other sword I've seen in my life. When you find the right tool in what we do, there's a resonance. There's a relief. It just feels like, people, the weapon is an extension of myself. Yes, all weapons are extensions of yourself. When you are using a Cadillac DeVille aggressively, it is an extension of yourself. But that thing that resonates with yourself, that feels this is mine, is a rare and beautiful thing. So I hope you can continue on that path. And more than it's okay. Most of them aren't. And that's true. Most of them aren't. And like I said, I have been researching it. I literally was at the neurologist today, and we're working on maintaining stability for me and actively figuring out where my status is before major changes. And that's fine. Just something. No, I absolutely will talk to my doctor and stuff and find out if it's useful, because there is a lot going on. The changes and things, but I don't like to. I like to let processes percolate a while before I get in the pool. So we've gone over an hour. It's been a delightful hour. Do any of you have any questions? I will remind you that the link both to the Jin and the longsword trainer for children 6 to 8, which is a perfect bastard sword for me. Hobbit jokes may apply. Is in there. Please, if you buy anything from Purple Heart Armory, go through my affiliate link. It's in every chat. Again, I do get paid a I want to say 2% proportion, but excuse me. I'm sorry, I'm laughing because I know the majority of the answer to Cindy's questions. But I totally lost what I was saying. Sorry, it just went. We're just going to move forward. I'm going to keep doing what I can. Everybody that I deal with medically is basically shocked that I can do what I do. The neurologist was literally in awe that I can hold up milk jugs. Like, that's, about my weight comfort level is a gallon of milk. Now in either hand. But that's just what we process, and that's how we go. Now, let's see. And as some person, I do truly appreciate your advice. I want you to understand that. And Cindy says, if the plural of goose is geese, why isn't the plural of moose meese? The origin of the word. I believe goose has a Central European. I'd have to look it up, but I know the Western term for goose in English has a European root. The word moose, I believe, while it rhymes, is based on an indigenous word that was encountered when colonists, I can say colonists really, came over, and basically they asked, their guide, what is that? And they said, it's a moose. Now, it is interesting that we often run in layers of that where they'll simply use their word for hill. So there is a hill in England that has 5 names. It's like Tarble, blah, 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 hill. And each one of them actually means hill in a different language from a different time period. So if you were to look at its real name, it would be hill, 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 hill. And I'll email you later. Remember, you matter in the thank you. I try. I'm working on it, folks. Because moose are scary critters. That's true. Sorry. Oh, no, it's fine. And, yep, Torpenhow Hill. Yes. Thank you. That is the right one. I admit the other designs are beautiful. The simplicity of the Tang, the fluid beauty of the Kingming, but the Han Jian, even if it's not historically accurate, I get it. I absolutely get it. For me, my favorite single sword will always be the Spanish Bilbao, Spanish / it's also called the Spanish and or Mexican colonial broadsword. It's got that very distinct tilt. Can I get it without disturbing everything? Maybe not. Hold on. Chaos. Because chaos reigns. But this guy right here, I got a hold of this, and it just felt right. It felt delightful. Little short blade, but this just, it is still agile as all get up. I would love something with this kind of guard, this kind of nice protection, and the style grip. I can get 2 fingers under there. I can get 1. I can write my name in the sand with this thing. It's great. And the old double-sided belt that got damaged has been its sheath for many years now. It works just fine. Let me just put that over here gently. Back the weapon. It's just out of the way for safety for now. And let's see. Of course, so are geese. Geese do have an amazing bluff stat. Swans are far more terrifying than geese because they can back it up. My grandma used to go goose hunting with bread and a bag. Not my grandma, my mom's grandma, so my great grandma. That was a slip of the tongue. Is that why why I have no energy? I have it multiplied. I don't know. I multiplied a bit, and now I have less energy because he gets it all. Even if we have known each other only a short time, you can become a very important person in my life. If you ever need anything, thank you. I really do appreciate it. And now to stay up and wait for mom and little sister to get back from the hospital. Were you older, I would tell you where you could go see some more like-minded people, but not yet. Sadly, you're too young. But we'll be around. And let's see. You'll need something that match your Hawaiian shirts. Maybe a pineapple handle with a sugar cane attached. I actually quite quite like a sword I made. And it's ironic because the next thing Al's going to say is, I think you mispronounced your favorite sword. It's called pronounced foil. I do have the foil that is somewhere, and it's not over here. I call it my Elven Thin Blade that I made solely to wear on my hip to annoy SCA marshals. So we are, and no, it's beautiful. It has holly leaves that are dual layered, blooming out the top, hand carved, big brass ball for the back end, light as a feather. It sings. I'll figure out where I put it. I moved it to keep it safe, and I think it's over by Manda's glaive. But let's see what happened. Normal appointment. Then other things came up. I'm glad. I worry about your sister sometimes. Well, my favorite exercises every day is to walk around my apartment carrying the heaviest Han Jian. I mean, literally carrying it, not wearing it. Every day, guys. And you can ask my wife. You can ask anybody who's been around. I can't go to bed without doing my sword drills. Now, of late, I have been using the polypropylene. They look like Sam shears. They call it Wolf Saber. It has a bunch of names. I have two of them. They're very nice. They're just heavy enough to be challenging, and they let me go through my guards simultaneously so I can keep a very fluid motion. That's done wonders for me. I do that every day. Now, after I get done doing that, depending on how much energy I have, I usually do some essentially practice cuts with the katana. Sheath, go, sheath, go. But that's not even drilling. That's just flowing for the feel. And then I'll switch over to something else. Maybe I'll do some staff drills one night, do something, two-handed practice the next. It's all about keeping the body moving, figuring out what I can do every day. But my net is trying to drop out because of the internet. So I'm going to crack through these comments, and then I think we'll wrap up for the night if you guys don't mind. And 2025, Nick, one more year after this November. Yes, sir. Best wishes for good news. And hugs, Alec. And did I hear guard? Yeah, I have to send you that picture. But guys, thank you for a lovely and lively program. We actually, for the most part, stayed fairly well on track. Thank you for your continual support. I'll be honest, I don't feel I deserve it, but I work to be worthy. And with that, guys, I'm going to say, please keep your eyes open and your guard up. Do your drills. Be kind to yourself and each other. And as always, thank you for supporting your local swordmaster. I'll be back at this next week for another episode of the Historical Fencing Guild. I'll be back Monday for the Never Mind the Furthermore. And then I may do an art stream sometime between now and then to get the things up to have them for the next. But till then, that's the gong, folks. Say goodnight, Gracie. Good night, Gracie. I love you, and you should too. See you soon. Toodles.